Hello everyone, welcome to Tuesday's lesson. Today we are going to continue and develop our understanding and analysis of meter in Macbeth. Before we get into the main part of the lesson, can you please, as always, copy down the title, the date, and the learning objective. Pause the video and come back when you have those three things copied down, please. Okay, now you should be ready to complete the do now. Please answer these 5 questions in full sentences. This is a revision of what we did yesterday, so please make sure that you avoid looking at your notes as much as possible, but if you need to look back to give yourself a reminder, that's fine. Pause the video and come back when those 5 do now questions are complete. Okay, like I said, we're going to develop our understanding of meter today in Macbeth. Yesterday we learned these things on the screen, and that's fine. But we now need to figure out how we can embed that in our paragraphs, in our analytical paragraphs. Today, I'm going to write a paragraph and I'm going to show you how to embed analysis of meter, and then you're going to produce one on your own. So, can you copy the title? This title is going to be the focus of our writing today. How does Shakespeare present Lady Macbeth's transgression? We have looked at this word before, but just to clarify, transgression, or to transgress, is an act that goes against a law, rule, or a code of conduct. Lady Macbeth and Macbeth transgress all laws, rules, and code of conduct in the play. You can jot this definition down if you feel like you need to refer back to it. It's not needed, but please do copy the title. Pause the video and return when that's done, please. Okay, so as always in the literature paper 1, when you get a question for Macbeth, you also get an extract. This is going to be the focus of my extract today. Obviously, when I go into an exam, I'm going to read the question and I'm going to read the extract before planning. So let's do that now. Glamis thou art on Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet do I fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. What thou wouldst highly, that wouldst thou wholly. Wouldst not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win. Thou'dst have great Glamis, that which cries, thus thou must do, if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do, than wishes should be undone. Hide ye hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear, and chastise with the valour of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden round, which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal. So, normally at this point, I would ask you to map out your character arc like this, and then you would plot your 3 paragraphs. This extract, I know, because my knowledge of the text is so good, is from Act 1, Scene 5. So this extract would probably form my first paragraph here. I'd also highlight the focus of that paragraph, the quote, that I'm going to focus on in that paragraph. And I'm going to use this quote here. This is a quote that I know well, and I know that I'll be able to analyse. Then you would go through and you would use your knowledge of the text to plot your final 2 paragraphs. We've done that loads, and that's not the focus of my lesson today, so I'm going to skip that part. However, now we know what iambic pentameter is and what it sounds like. At this stage, you should really try and figure out if this is written in iambic pentameter. So, for example, let's take this line here. Let's take this line here. This is a line that we know really well. So it's a line that we understand, and it's a line that you might have chosen in this paragraph. It is too full of the milk of human kindness. Remember, iambic pentameter has that da-dum, da-dum, da-dum rhythm. In an essay or exam condition, you're not going to be able to do the process whereby you clap and you say it out loud, but you can do it in your head. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to test whether this line is in iambic pentameter using the clapping and the emphasis with the rhythm. It is too full of the milk of human kindness. That is in iambic pentameter. So I know at this stage in the text, Lady Macbeth is speaking in iambic pentameter. And maybe before I start writing, I just want to drop down IP. So I know that this is written in iambic pentameter. Remember, we know that noble characters speak in iambic pentameter. So at this stage, it indicates that Lady Macbeth is a very noble character. So I've planned, I've read, I know what my first paragraph is going to be, I know what my other two paragraphs are going to be, I know that this is an iambic pentameter, and now it's time to write. So remember, before Christmas, after your assessment, we had a conversation about the structure, and we figured out that a 3-idea sentence and all of the analysis was far too much, so we shortened it. We now write a 2-idea sentence, and we only analyse 2 things. Either a word or a method, word or a tone, or any combination of those 3. As we haven't done a literature paper or a paragraph like this in a long time, I'm going to model to you a whole paragraph in answer to our question about Lady Macbeth's transgression. So let me just come out of my slideshow. We don't need those. And let's start our paragraph. So I've got my plan, I know what I'm doing, I know what my focus of my paragraph is. So now I need to write. So my first step is my clear idea. So we're in good habits with this. So at the beginning of the play, Shakespeare hints at Lady Macbeth's transgression. At this stage, Act 1, Scene 5, she hasn't fully transgressed. She's just thinking about it. Hints at Lady Macbeth's transgression as he establishes her as an overpowering and self-assured. So if you're self-assured, you're confident in yourself. Female figure. So I've talked about when in the text, I've mentioned the language from the question, and then I've included my own idea. So I have done my clear idea to start the paragraph. Let's highlight that so I know that that's done. Next up is my quote. So always start explaining what is happening at the time this quote is taking place. So Act 1, Scene 5, so that's just after she receives the letter from Macbeth. When she receives the letter from Macbeth about the witch's prophecies for Macbeth's future as king. Very detailed, very clear. She states confidently, my tone word there, that I can refer back to in my analysis. She states confidently that she will, and I'm going to shorten my quote so it makes sense as part of my sentence, pour her spirit in thine ear and chastise thee with the valour of her tongue. Ignore the autocorrect for valour there, it's just because it's spelt obviously in Old English. That's my embedded quote done with short bursts of quotations. Remember as well, we did look at the fact that you should embed more than one quote to allow you to analyse more, and I've done that here. Next up is my 2-idea sentence. So this not only indicates, I would say it kind of talks about her like really bold ambitions in the pursuit of power. This not only indicates her bold ambitions in the pursuit of power. You know, sometimes I impress myself. That's a really, I was going to actually just write indicates her bold ambitions to gain power, but look at me go. And then my second idea, but further illustrates her authority in her relationship with Beth. So at this point, just took a screenshot. At this point, I'm going to just color code my ideas just so I know what I have to refer back to. And you're more than welcome to do this if you think it would help. So that's my 2-idea sentence now complete. Now I need to analyze a word, method, and a tone. This is the point at which you can analyze metric. It is a structural device. It is a structural method, so it can be analysed. And this is how I would do it. First of all, you want to state the metric being used. So we know from our quote earlier on that this is an iambic pentameter. So I'm going to write in red Shakespeare's use of iambic pentameter in this speech emphasizes. Now I'm going to say what impact the iambic pentameter has. What does it show? And we're talking about, in this instance with Lady Macbeth, how kind of self-assured she is and how determined she is. So I'm going to say that it emphasizes her confident proposal and her sense of purpose as she declares her desire, and now I'm going to link it back to my quote or phrase in my quote, pour her spirit into Macbeth. That's a good start. However, there's an issue. I haven't linked it back to either of my ideas in red or green there, so I need to do that now. So I'm going to use the idea in red about authority, and I'm going to say this indicates her authoritative nature. I knew I spelled that wrong. Authoritative nature as, so now I need to explain why the use of iambic pentameter in this phrasing indicates her authority, as she believes that she has the capability to transfer her courage into her hesitant, actually faltering is better, faltering husband. If you're faltering, you're like a bit unsteady. So there is my analysis of method. Sorry, of structure was a structural method, and I've linked that to my idea in red. That's one piece of analysis. Now I need to do my second. So I'm going to look at the adjective valor in relation to my idea in green. So I'm going to write Shakespeare's use. Remember, we need to start our actually deployment. We need to start our analysis of those sophisticated phrases, academic language, of the adjective valor indicates Lady Macbeth's boldness. That's the link to the idea. And we can develop that a bit more. Determination to ensure Macbeth, because this is ultimately the goal of Lady Macbeth throughout the text, so it's important we make that clear. Macbeth commits regicide to become king. That's not developed enough. I can go further. Remember, we also looked at before Christmas embedding contextual ideas. What do we know about the text and the time it was written, and how can we include that in our analysis? Well, Lady Macbeth is obviously always linked to gender roles as she goes against those gender roles, and that has a huge impact in her kind of mental stability and also the plot of the text. So I'm going to write this emasculation, making someone feel less of a man, of Macbeth counters the Jacobean expectation of women, and so solidifies, which means like makes very clear, and I'm going to link it back to the original idea, her self-assurance and willingness, now this is my link back to the question, to transgress social norms. So I've taken an adjective, I've explained how it links to my idea, then I have linked that to context and said that the fact that she wants to chastise Macbeth with the valour of her tongue indicates how she counters Jacobean expectation, which shows that she is self-assured and that she's willing to transgress social norms in order to get what she wants. You might be sitting here thinking, oh my god, I would never be able to write that. And the answer is yes, you would, because you're going to do it in a minute. Okay, so now I've done my analysis and it's time to make my link. So the idea, oh, let me just make it so it's black again. The idea that, and then I need to state my idea for this paragraph, Lady Macbeth is overpowering. And then I need to say whether it's supported or challenged. I'm going to do a support. Is supported later in the text when she now need to re-embed a new quotation when she refers to Macbeth's maybe like irrationality. She refers to Macbeth as a, sorry, let's change it around, a poor cat due to his irrationality and fear. Which, and now I need to explain this a little bit, because I can't say that this quote shows that she's overpowering without briefly explaining it, which emphasizes her continuous humiliation of Macbeth in order to gain power and respect. That's my link. And then finally, and really importantly, is my reference to the writer's message. Remember, you would normally write that in a thesis statement and then refer to it throughout, but I'm going to imagine my message would be something like this. Therefore, Shakespeare might be, remember we don't know, so we need to use that word might, be conveying, I'm going to talk about the kind of destructive nature of temptation and unchecked ambition, might be conveying the destructive nature of unchecked ambition through, and now that's my overall message that I've mentioned in my thesis, but now I need to link it explicitly to the paragraph and what I've explored. I've explored in this paragraph how she transgresses gender roles in the pursuit of power, or being tempted by power. So through Lady Macbeth, transgression of Jacobean gender roles. There's another link to context there as well, which is great. That's fine. Okay, so that is my completed paragraph, and I have most importantly included analysis of iambic pentameter and how it is used and why it is used here. Now it's your turn. So this is the structure, and this is the quote that you are going to use. This quote is from Act 5, Scene 1, where Lady Macbeth is sleepwalking. We have analysed this quote so many times. You know what it means, you know why it's significant. But today you are going to focus on this quote in your paragraph, and you're going to remember to include analysis of iambic pentameter linked to the idea. So this is not in iambic pentameter. So why is that significant? What does that suggest about her? You need to write a paragraph in the way that you normally would, but when it comes to analysing method, you're going to analyse iambic pentameter. And then it's up to you if you want to analyse word or tone. If you need to go back to my paragraph and use that as inspiration, you can do so. But when you've written your paragraph in full, come back to the video, please. Okay, If you're back, that means you are ready to submit your work. Please, please, please write it like this. Some of you still aren't doing it, and I don't know if it's because you don't understand or it's just because you're rushing, but this makes my life and consequently your life much easier. So please make sure the subject of your email is like this. I really look forward to seeing your paragraphs. I think you're really going to rise to this challenge. So send me your work and I will speak to you in tomorrow's lesson.